Let's talk about it. All right, fantasy football. Nothing will grind your gears harder than drafting somebody in the first or second round and watching them just suck ass. Suck major ass. I'm not talking about an injury either, okay? Because that is a God-sent, unfortunate circumstance. A series of unfortunate events. Something you can't control. I'm talking about your healthy player that sucks ass. You've thrown him on the trade block already because you just can't stand to look at him put up 5 points when you used your first or second pick on him. Let's talk about it. These are my biggest fantasy busts or duds thus far, and I'm also going to rank them on the panic level. How hard should you be panicking about these players? All right, let's talk about it. So, Chase, we're going to search up a few players. I think first one, we've already talked about it, so I'll get it out of the way first. Cam Akers. Wow. Cam Akers in a lot of leagues, I believe, went in the third. I'm sure in some of your guys' leagues, maybe the second, but no later than the fifth, because this is supposedly the RB1 on the team that won the Super Bowl, so a lot of people felt really high on him. First week, dog shit. Oh my God, that was panic mode. He has seen an increase in workload since. I think the highlight is 15 attempts in week 2, so that was more than Henderson, and he had less than Henderson in week 3, but he did score a touchdown, so he got, some goal line touches. Overall, Rams' run game has been underwhelming. We're certainly not going to see a Todd Gurley Offensive Player of the Year season out of Cam Akers, but as far as the panic meter goes, I'm sticking with it. This is one of my lowest players on the panic rating. I think in the second half of the season, Cam Akers can be a consistent 10 to 15 point scoring running back. I think he'll have some massive games here and there, like some big boom 25 plus games. Not consistently. He's not Chris McCaffrey, but this is my lowest on the panic ranking. He's a 23-year-old running back, guys, on an excellent team. I think he's going to be all right. So that's my opinion. Dalvin Cook. As long as we're on the Vikings, let's talk about Dalvin Cook. In the panic meter, I'm saying infinitely low. In fact, I think Dalvin Cook is an excellent player to trade for right now. I think a lot of people who got him in the first round, they expected way more. He's got 13.8, 7.6, 13.6. These aren't super low numbers, but people just get so antsy in fantasy football. I think the number one way to win in fantasy football is take advantage of your league mates panicking. Trade for players when they're low. If you could trade for Dalvin Cook right now because somebody wants like a 20 bomb out of their running back, I think Dalvin Cook is due for a lot of 20 bomb games still this season. He's still an incredible running back on a very good offense. So my panic is 0 on Dalvin Cook for the most part. I think one of the biggest ones we should talk about, DJ Moore. Let's go talk about DJ Moore. I don't know what round you guys are taking DJ Moore in on average, but I know he'd go in 4, 5, 6. He was excellent last year. This is really concerning. Look at this stat line. Is this 2020 or 2021?
2021.
This is 2021. He is putting up great numbers. I had him last year, that 31.9 game against Dallas.
Crap,
that won me a league. If you go to 2022 though, 7 catches. That 13.3 game, that looks okay. That might have made you not panic. 2.5, 6 targets, 1 reception. This does not tell me that DJ Moore is dropping open footballs. Yes, it happens sometimes. Overall, Baker Mayfield sucks ass right now. That entire organization and the offense sucks ass right now. These are not even catchable balls. They're calling them targets. They're not catchable balls. He's not dropping them. It's in Deontay Johnson, all right? I love Deontay Johnson fantasy too, but he actually legitimately drops balls. He's got a problem with it. DJ Moore doesn't drop balls. This is very high on my panic meter. I'm high on the panic meter because this offense sucks. I think they're going to keep losing. Baker's not establishing great chemistry with DJ Moore. That's clear so far. I'm not saying like Katie bar the door panic, but here's what I would do if I was a DJ Moore fantasy owner. Wait for DJ Moore to have one very good game. A 15, not even a very good, a 15 plus, a 17 plus. Maybe he does have a monster game. Mm-hmm. Trade him. That's my opinion. Trade that motherfucker. Trade him when he's high. Somebody sees that big 30 number. They just lost a tough week. Trade him. Get rid of him. Get a low floor or get a high floor, low ceiling wide receiver who's going to consistently get you 10 plus points. DJ Moore ain't it. This is one of my highest on the panic meter here. I've got a few other guys here. Ezekiel Elliott. Feed Zeke, am I right? 5.9, 5.9, 14.5. Now, here's the good news and the bad news about Zeke. I think with Cooper Rush in, they're leaning on the run game a lot more. So we've actually seen Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard both eat. The concerning thing, let's look at these attempts here. 10 rushes, 15 rushes, 15 rushes. Now let's pull up Pollard. So he's got significantly less rushing attempts, but if you go to receiving, and I assume a lot of you are, well, you don't have to go to it, but you can see it. Yep. Tony Pollard has put up way more than Zeke. In week 1, no, but week 2, week 3, he was a great fantasy running back. They are throwing the ball to Tony Pollard more than they're throwing to Zeke, which has not been the case in 2021 and 2020. I think especially when Dak comes back, I don't think we're going to be so heavily reliant on Zeke running the ball. I'm not panicking about Ezekiel Elliott. I just think if you used a really high draft pick on Zeke, it was probably a reach. I think it will continue to be a reach. And I think Tony Pollard only gets more snaps as the season goes on. Ezekiel Elliott is at that age and snap count where all NFL running backs, father time is undefeated, start to regress. I think Zeke is now 29. Is that correct? He's 27 going on 28, you guys. It's really more about snap count. It's really more about the amount of carries that you have, not actually how old you are. So that was a little stupid to say. But Pollard has not got the usage that Zeke does. Zeke really can't get better. I hate to say that. It feels so bad, but it's very difficult for a running back of his usage and age to actually get better and faster at football. It just can't really happen. So in the long run, I only see Pollard getting more touches and Zeke getting less. So that's where we're at. I wouldn't panic too hard, but I don't think Zeke's going to take you to a championship. So Devonte Adams, absolutely monster. Monster week 1. This is not a guy I'm saying a dud. I just want to look at this. So 10 targets, only holding 5, 7 targets, only holding 2. You know who got more targets than Devonte Adams? Mac Hollins. Remember we were talking about him when we were at the game?
Is it Hollis?
Mac Hollis. No, it's Hollins. Look at this shit.
Yeah, dude.
Dropped a 30 banger. You were talking about picking him up.
Yeah.
And I said, we're sitting at the Raiders-Cardinals game.
Yeah.
And Derek Carr is only throwing to this motherfucker. He had the most targets in the Cardinals game. 8 targets. And Chase is like, oh, dude, I got to pick him up off of waivers. I was like, don't. This guy's never getting thrown the ball again. I'm a fucking casual.
Next game.
8 for 10, 158 yards, a touchdown. I don't know what they've been doing in practice. Apparently he just loves this guy or something. So nothing against Devonte Adams, but out of nowhere, Mac Hollins is like getting serious
only 3%
targets.
rostered too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be
started.
partially the Devonte Adams effect. You know,
Yeah.
teams got to throw a lot at Devonte Adams, just leaving someone else open because they got the same amount of targets in that last game, but he just was able to haul in more. You know, you didn't get him on waivers, but you did get the Giants' new wide receiver one, former Eagle legend. I don't know shit about him, dude. Yeah, a monster game. Cool. Well, let's just go back to the players we should not be panicking about. I've got 2 more. Actually 3 more that a lot of people use a lot of draft capital on. Kyle Pitts. Now, I'm happy about this. We had a choice between Kyle Pitts and George Kittle. We took George Kittle. I actually like George Kittle a lot just because his first 2 weeks he was injured, so he wasn't even in.
Right.
Week 3 was bad, but I don't have to panic yet. This is atrocious.
So many people were like, Kyle Pitts. I remember when
they were so mad.
It was just, so
This
pissed.
is atrocious. I think my rationale for believing that Kyle Pitts was going to be really good was the output that Marcus Mariota had with Delaney Walker on the Titans. Number 1, that's a long time ago. Number 2, it's a totally different personnel, different playbooks. They play football differently. This Falcons offense has not shown that they're actually really trying to utilize their tight end. That's just straight up it. Kyle Pitts isn't out there a lot. Listen, he had his best game finally, and that's 5 catches for 87 yards. Gerald Everett's doing that every single game, and he's on waivers. This is a guy I am absolutely panicking about. Do I think Kyle Pitts is bad at football? No. I think he's really talented. I just don't think this offense is using him at all. Maybe they start, but I don't see it happening. I don't think they're going to switch up the game plan. I would be concerned. That's my opinion. So we'll see what Kyle Pitts goes, but if a league mate, in my opinion, if a league mate's willing to give you a lot for Kyle Pitts, I'm taking it. I just don't see him continuing to be on this upward trajectory. Those first 2 weeks were an indicator of that. It's really more about, to me, it's about the snap count. On average, Kyle Pitts was in week 3. This was the most of the entire year. He's in on 65% of snaps. Let's give that a comparison to a Christian McCaffrey. I know it's a different position. Christian McCaffrey, 98%. Most good tight ends, over 80%. Like a Travis Kelce's always over 80%. George Kittle's always over 80%. Mark Andrews always over 80% snap count. Kyle Pitts isn't even in there. They're not even fucking using him. He's not in the personnel groups. It's really weird. So that's what concerns me about Kyle Pitts. Someone in one of the leagues I'm in, they just cut him? What are you in a 4-man? Jesus Christ. What kind of fantasy football do you guys play? Why are you coming to me for advice? That's crazy. That's crazy. You gave up Kyle Pitts and Jerry Jeudy for Derrick Henry. Interesting. How's that bad? Derrick Henry was kind of lackluster until his last week, where he had a really good game. Darnell Mooney. Suck Darnell Mooney. All right, so here's the reason that people were so high on Darnell Mooney And here's the reason you should be panicking on Darnell Mooney. I hate fucking saying this. I just played Fortnite and Rocket League with Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney, I love you. You're such a stud, actually. Fantasy football, though, it's different. Now, if you go to 2021, Darnell Mooney had some monster games. The thing you got to note, though, so you look at the end of the season, 20, 23, 17, 11, 10, 19, 24. These are monster games. Guess who's not at quarterback in all of those games? Justin Fields. Darnell Mooney was a monster fantasy wide receiver when I think it was Andy Dalton. When Andy Dalton was coming in for the Bears, and it makes sense. It's a totally different offense when Justin Fields is in. Justin Fields is a rare type of quarterback who is Lamar Jackson-esque, and he can do all these different things, and the Bears are trying to game plan around that. They've really struggled to game plan around that, and guess what? All of the specialty players on the Bears are struggling because of it. The only one eating on the Bears in fantasy football is their running back. It was David Montgomery. Now it's Khalil Herbert because he's hurt. I am panicking on every single skill player on the Bears. I'm panicking on Justin Fields. If you got a high round pick for Darnell Mooney, right now you can't trade him. No one's fucking taking him because these are piss poor fantasy stats. But he's going to have a huge game. Hopefully one of your league mates has tunnel vision and you can trade him for something good because I do not see him being a consistent fantasy scorer at all. And that's it. So that's my opinion on the guys who've been struggling, picked high. Last one, I'm going to say Travis Etienne. Not everybody was like me. I think this is one of my big oversights. This was a really bad call by me. James Robinson coming off the Achilles, I just didn't think he could perform. And you know what? Travis Etienne has still done okay. Like in relief, he's like okay. If his floor is 8 points, I'm not going to cry about it because that's whatever. It's not good at all. But James Robinson is clearly the RB1. I did not see that coming. James Robinson's a beast. So yeah, Travis Etienne, I thought he'd be RB1. I was completely wrong here. So I am panicking a little bit about Etienne. So I guess we'll just have to see. I'm hanging on to him. I'm not trading him. If he has a monster game and I can get a lot out of him, maybe. But I don't really plan on it. I'm kind of hoping that offense keeps opening up more and more for Etienne.